Imagine your own mom looking you dead in the eyes and saying, "We all agreed you're not welcome at Christmas. No warning, no explanation, just like that, you're out." And here's the kicker, they're saying it while living in the house you pay for. Hey, I'm Mary. I'm 29. And up until last year, I really thought that family meant love, loyalty, and having each other's backs. I spent years helping mine, bought the house my mom lives in, paid for repairs, even covered everyone's Christmas presents. But last December, I found out just how fast people will forget your kindness when it's no longer convenient for them. So when they told me I wasn't welcome, I didn't scream, I didn't fight. I just stopped paying the mortgage. And what happened next, let's just say, it was the wake-up call they never saw coming. It started with silence. No good morning texts from the family group chat. No who's bringing pie or what time are we opening presents. Just nothing. I figured maybe my Wi-Fi was being weird, so I refreshed the messages, opened the app again. Still empty. That little sinking feeling started to grow in my chest. Something wasn't right. Not with my phone. Something deeper. I tried to shake it off, but I knew what was happening. I've felt this kind of silence before. This wasn't a glitch. This was deliberate. I checked our shared Google Drive. Every year we kept holiday stuff there. You know, playlists, potluck lists, Clara's spreadsheet ranking everyone's dishes. Gone. Completely wiped. I even tried the old invite link from last year. Access denied. That's when it hit me. This wasn't an accident. This was personal. Still, I wanted to believe there was some kind of mistake. So I texted Clara, "Hey, did you delete the family folder?" No reply. Not even a thumbs up. 38 minutes later, my mom sent a message. Short. Cold. "You're probably busy. Don't worry about Christmas this year. That's it. Know we love you, or hope you're okay." Just like a door quietly shutting in my face. I didn't reply. I just stared at that screen, took a screenshot, and sat with it. That night, my apartment felt colder than usual. Not in temperature, just in feeling. There was this weight in the room, this heaviness that didn't come from the outside. It came from knowing deep down I'd been cut out, and this time they weren't even pretending to hide it. I didn't cry. I used to, a lot, but not anymore. The tears dried up after too many birthdays forgotten, too many favors returned with silence. I'd gotten used to being invisible, but this time felt different. This felt final. I remembered last Christmas, walking into the house with both arms full of gifts in one hand, cookies I stayed up baking till 2 a.m. in the other. I was late, thanks to work, but still tried to show up for them. The dining room was packed, every chair taken. No one even looked up when I walked in. I ended up eating alone in the kitchen on a paper plate while someone muttered, "Look who finally showed," and they all laughed. I told myself they were just stressed. I told myself it wasn't personal, but deep down, I knew. They never thanked me for the deviled eggs I brought every single year, the ones that disappeared faster than anything else on the table. No one remembered I don't eat pork. No one noticed I skipped meals to afford those thoughtful gifts. I once gave Clara's son a keyboard for his music lessons. A month later, she called to ask if I could also pay for lessons. No thank you, just expectation. And somehow, I kept showing up. I kept giving. I kept being the one who remembered birthdays, who covered last-minute expenses, who paid for my mom's broken washer without being asked. They knew I'd say yes, because I always did, because I thought that's what family meant. You give, you support, you hold it together. But this time, they had a vote, a literal vote. Decided I wasn't welcome. Decided I didn't belong, and no one told me until it was done. Not even Clara, who I once bailed out of rent. Not even my mom, who lives in the house I've been paying for the last 3 years. Yeah, that's right, the house they're decorating, celebrating, and laughing in. I cover the mortgage. Quietly, every month. Why? Because during the pandemic, my mom was struggling. Hours cut, bills piling up. I stepped in, said I'd help until she got back on her feet. But she never really got back on her feet, and I never stopped helping. They never offered to pay a dime. They never asked how I was doing. They just accepted the money like it came from a machine, like I was a wallet with a name. But now I was finally seeing it for what it was. They didn't forget me. They just didn't choose me. They chose to erase me, to use my kindness, my generosity, my silence, and tossed me aside when it didn't benefit them anymore. They took my money, my time, my love, and in return, gave me a locked folder and a cold message. And that's when something inside me changed. I wasn't angry. Not in the yelling, door-slamming way. I was just done. Tired of playing the role of the giver when no one gave back. Tired of pretending I didn't notice how one-sided it had all become. So I stopped. I didn't make a scene, didn't write a long message or start a fight. I just stopped paying the mortgage. Let's see how welcome they feel when the lights go out in the house they forgot I owned. I opened my laptop and stared at the number that had been haunting my bank account for years. $1,368.00. That was the monthly mortgage payment for the house my mom lived in, the house they all gathered in, the house I had paid for quietly for 3 straight years. It wasn't just the house. I'd paid for birthday cakes, baby showers, fixed the sunroom when the ceiling started caving in. I refinished the floors with my own hands on a weekend when everyone else went to the beach. And not a single one of them thought I deserved a place at their Christmas table. I didn't cry. I didn't throw things. I just sat there, staring at the screen, asking myself something I should have asked a long time ago. If I'm not family to them, then why am I the one paying their bills? 5 days later, the final nail in the coffin arrived. I was unloading groceries, milk, eggs, a bottle of wine I knew I wouldn't drink, when my phone buzzed with a voicemail. It was from Mom, still saved as Mom in all caps even though the word had started to feel foreign. Her voice was distant, like she was reading something off a cue card. The family talked. We think it's easier if you don't come this year. It's not personal, we all agreed. I played it again, then saved it. The coldness in her voice hit harder than the words. No hesitation. No emotion, no apology, just a verdict. I put the groceries away, one item at a time, in silence. Later that night, I checked our old group chat. The name was changed. Now it read, The Real Ones. My name was gone from the member list. I searched through the threads. Last year's holiday hysteria group was archived, locked, like I'd never been part of it. No invites, no reminders, not even Clara's usual bring labels for your dish texts. They didn't forget me. They erased me. That same night, I scrolled through Kaylee's Facebook, and there it was, a smiling group selfie around Mom's dining table. The caption, "Doing what's best for the family isn't easy, but it's worth it." I froze, then read a comment underneath. "So glad everyone was there for the vote. Hard but necessary." My stomach tightened like I'd been punched. Clara held a wine glass. Uncle Tom was mid-laugh. My mom's hand rested on Kaylee's shoulder like she was handing her the crown. There was no empty chair, no sign anyone had asked about me, no sign anyone missed me. They didn't care if I saw it. Honestly, maybe they wanted me to. The next morning, I played the voicemail again while brushing my teeth. We all agreed, you're not welcome. It sounded less like a family conversation and more like HR letting me go. I didn't call back. I opened a blank document and started typing. Mortgage payments, 2020 to present. Groceries for Christmas dinner, $312.00. Utilities, June to August. Down payment notarized July 2019. It wasn't rage, it was clarity. If they were going to write me out of the family, I was going to keep the receipts. Clara texted me at lunch. "You always made things tense. It's better this way. You were never good at being family." I didn't answer. Just screenshotted and saved it in the folder. That evening, a photo memory popped up on my phone. Christmas gifts I sent from Raleigh 3 years ago. A bracelet Clara gushed over. A scarf in Mom's favorite shade of green. I remembered wrapping them on the floor of my apartment, using extra tape because the paper kept ripping. In their posts, Clara had captioned the photo, "From all of us," and everyone smiled like it was some group effort. I wasn't mentioned. I wasn't there. That memory hit hard. But it also cleared everything up. I checked Mom's Facebook again. She posted another photo. Her dining room, the same 12 chairs, the candles, the turkey. Kaylee holding the dinner rolls like she was accepting an award. The caption read, "Grateful for everyone who made this family whole again." Whole. As in, without me. I canceled my PTO for December 22-27. I canceled my non-refundable flight. I didn't want to stand around in an airport hoping someone might pick up the phone. This wasn't a meltdown. It wasn't petty. It was a decision. They wanted Christmas without me? Fine. They'd get what they asked for. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table with eggs and toast and opened my banking app. The mortgage payment was due in 3 days. $1,368.00 staring back at me. I could pay it. But for once, I asked, why should I? Why am I paying for a life I'm not even allowed to be part of? That question stayed in my head all day. In the shower, at the store, in the empty silence of my apartment that night. I opened a folder and checked the warranty deed. Dorothy June, sole owner. I had co-signed the house as a favor. She promised to add me later. That was 3 years ago. She never did. It wasn't on paper. I wasn't in the family. I was just the AT. That night I got an email from my aunt. Maybe she hit the wrong name. It had a picture attached. Mom's kitchen. The backsplash I paid for. The chairs I ordered. The countertops I picked up 4 hours away. 12 smiling people around the island. The caption read, "In Mom's home, where she raised us all." My home, my money, their story. I paused the mortgage payment. Not because I was mad, but because it was time. I created a folder called Exit Plan and filled it with screenshots, receipts, signed deeds, proof that I wasn't crazy. On December 21, I canceled the auto payment, 1 click, no warning. The money stayed in my account. For the first time in years, it felt like it belonged to me. I waited, thinking someone would call. Nothing. Not a text, not an email, not even a missed call. So the next day, I canceled the utilities. Electric, gas, internet, insurance, all in my name. Mom said she needed breathing room after retirement, so I signed up for everything. I printed confirmations, saved emails, and closed my laptop. Let them figure out why the lights went out. On December 24, I made soup and wrapped a gift for the neighbor kid who always brought my packages upstairs. At 5:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. Someone accidentally added me back to the group chat. Power's out mid-potluck, Mom's freaking. Everything's dark. I checked my email. Utility service ended at 6:00 p.m. It was 6:14. They were in the dark. Christmas morning, while the world posted matching pajamas and mugshots of cinnamon rolls, I got a news link from a coworker. The headline said, "Dorothy June hosts charity potluck in Asheville." The photo underneath was sharp and bright. There was my mom, standing proud in front of the house I'd been paying for me floors, my chandelier, my sweat. Clara stood beside her, smiling like the world belonged to her. The caption read, "Thanks to the Bishop family for opening their home." The Bishop family. As if I never existed. I didn't even feel shocked anymore. I just laughed, not because it was funny, because it was bold. They erased me and then claimed credit for everything I built. That house didn't just magically stand itself up. It came from my work, my paychecks, my sleepless nights, and now it was some charity backdrop with a borrowed name. Later that afternoon, something unexpected happened. My cousin, Tessa, who always felt like a bit of a black sheep herself, messaged me. She said, "I didn't agree with them. I recorded it." I froze. Then she sent the file. I sat on my bed, heart racing, and pressed play. Clara's voice came first. "She's cold. She always wants applause for doing the bare minimum." Then Mom, "She's not family, just convenient." Then Uncle Brian, "Keep her on the papers. No need to rock the boat." Then laughter. Laughter like I was a joke they all shared. No one defended me. Not one voice, not one person said, "Hey, she paid for the roof you're sitting under." It wasn't just betrayal, it was confirmation. Everything I'd felt, everything I suspect edit was real. Hearing my own mother say I was just convenient broke something inside me, but oddly it also freed me. There was no more hope to hold on to, no more wondering if I was overreacting. They said it with their whole chests. And now I had proof. I didn't scream. I didn't post anything online. I stayed up that night uploading the audio to a private Google Drive and labeling it. Then I opened a fresh document titled Statement of Financial Support 2019 Present. I listed everything, every payment, every Home Depot receipt, every invoice. I wasn't going to shame them with opinions. I was going to expose them with facts. I emailed that folder to Brian's boss, the charity's board, and a local news editor I once helped on a school fundraiser. No angry rant, no wild accusations, just truth, just numbers. By the next evening, I got a text from Tessa. "They're freaking out. Clara's blaming me. Brian's been suspended. I replied, I didn't start a war. I declared independence. The next morning I emailed the bank. I wrote, since I've been removed from the family, I'm removing myself from their finances. The house is no longer my concern. I attached everything, the mortgage records, the utility bills, the repair estimates, even the receipt for those ugly scratchy towels Mom insisted were too rough for guests. The subject line, exit with receipts. 24 minutes later, my phone blew up. Clara, you're destroying Mom's life. Then Mom, how could you humiliate me like this? We're still family. But were we? When they were voting me out, when they were serving turkey on my hardwood floors, when they toasted to new beginnings in a house I paid for, was I family then? I didn't reply, because they hadn't learned how to survive without me yet, and maybe now, they'd have to. That night, I took a walk across town and stopped at Norma Fisher's porch, Mom's next-door neighbor for almost 2 decades. Norma always liked me. She handed me a paper bag of oatmeal cookies and said, I saw the news. I'm glad someone finally said something. You were always the strong one. That's why she tried to erase you. I whispered, she almost did. Norma looked at me the way a real mom should and said, but she didn't. I nodded and walked back home. Back in my apartment, I pulled out a drawer full of old cards. Best daughter. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you for all you do. I tore them into pieces, not out of anger, but because they were lies. Pretty lies in glittery fonts. I didn't need them anymore. The next morning, I walked to the bank. My hands shook a little as I slid the folder across the counter. Mortgage transfer. The clerk looked surprised. You're giving up all rights to the property? She asked. I said, yes. Dorothy's the owner. She'll figure it out. I signed the papers. No hesitation, no second thoughts. Then I walked outside, and the wind hit my face like a clean slate. There was no parade, no confetti, no dramatic background music, just me breathing. For the first time in years, it didn't feel like I was holding my family together with duct tape and overdraft fees. It just felt like freedom. Christmas morning, I woke up to a soft layer of snow outside my window, like powdered sugar sprinkled by someone trying to make the world look gentle for once. There were no unread messages, no silent treatments, no group chats full of inside jokes I was left out of. Just me in my small apartment, with my own name on the lease. Real peace. Not the kind where you hold your breath and hope nobody gets mad. I whispered to myself, no one's disappointed because no one's asking me to be someone I'm not. It didn't feel sad. It felt like the beginning of something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. A week later, Tessa texted me. Mom got the letter from the bank. Clara opened it first and apparently just sat there staring, stunned. Mom didn't say a word. No anger, no yelling, just quiet. Tessa said, they didn't see it coming. They thought I'd cave, like always. But I didn't. And that silence in their living room, that was my power. A few days after, I got a card in the mail. Thick, cream-colored, the kind Mom sends every year. Inside, her perfect cursive. I made mistakes. I hope you'll sit at our table again. Merry Christmas. No, I'm sorry. Just hope. Written like it was owed. I didn't rip it up. I'm not cold. I just slid it into a drawer. Not the trash, but not the shelf either. I wasn't interested in negotiating love anymore. I'd done enough deals with heartbreak. That door wasn't locked out of anger. It was closed out of peace. Tessa came over a few days later with cookies and a scarf she hadn't finished knitting. We sat on my couch, talking about her thesis, the weird barista at the coffee shop, how she's thinking of moving to a new city. We didn't talk about the house, not once. It was the first time in years I felt like I could be seen without being picked apart. She looked at me and said, they don't really understand why you left. I looked back and said, I didn't leave. I just stopped chasing people who never moved toward me. She nodded. No argument, no pity, just understanding. She also told me Grandma had asked about me, not in a guilt trip way, but like she was finally missing something she used to hold but forgot the value of. I told Tessa, thanks for telling me, that was enough. Back in Asheville, Mom pays the mortgage now. Clara handles the taxes. The lights are still on. The roof still stands. But the house isn't the same. My absence echoes louder than any noise I ever made while living in their shadow. I went online and updated my emergency contact, Tessa. I changed my mailing address, deleted the shared calendar, and marked my planner with a big red note. 1 year free. Not free, like a gift. Free, like I finally stopped paying for pain I didn't cause. On a cold morning in January, I put on boots and walked a trail behind my apartment. The air stung my cheeks, but it felt honest. It didn't lie to me like their words used to. And as I looked at the sky through bare trees, I realized something. Some houses you just outgrow. Some doors were never meant to be walked back through. Sometimes the place that raised you stops being home when you stop begging to be wanted. If you've ever held a family together while they made you feel like the problem, let me tell you something. You're not too much. You're not dramatic. You're not broken. You're just done being small for people who only know how to take. Walking away isn't giving up. It's finally choosing you. So if you're listening and you've been there too, if you've had to say goodbye to people who made you feel invisible, drop a comment. I want to hear it. Type 1 if this hit home, or just tell me where you're watching from. I read every single one. If this story didn't land for you, tell me why. I'm listening. And if it did, subscribe. Not because I need followers, but because maybe next time, the story will help you remember your worth again. This isn't the end of anything. This is where we start choosing ourselves. And if any part of this story reminded you of something you've lived through, if you've ever given everything and still got left out, just know this: walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. Sometimes choosing yourself is the loudest way to say, I matter. You don't need to keep proving your worth to people who only notice you when they need something. Your peace is not up for negotiation. So if this hit close to home, tell me in the comments, what was the moment you realized you deserved better? I read every word. And if you're ready for more stories that remind you you're not alone, hit subscribe and check out the next video. You're not difficult, you're just done being small.